Okay, we are live. Welcome to the Anarchist Guide to the Universe. It's been a while since we've been on. Sadly, we're missing Jerome again. He had a little bit of a last minute, not really an emergency, but something he had to go handle. So he's not going to be joining us tonight. But tonight, as always, we have Alec. Hi, Alec. Carolina and Jason.
Hey there.
Hi. We were having a mute war earlier, so I was laughing. My eyes might be a little watery. So tonight we are going to be talking about. I've got my little notes over here off to the side. We're going to be talking about the OSIRIS-Rex launch. We're going to be landing. Well, not really landing. We're going to be lowering a crane down, taking some samples, and then hopefully coming back to Earth. Then we're going to be talking about the Falcon 9 static fire explosion. I know people keep saying it's an explosion, but it looked like an explosion. Things went flying, but the fire. We're also going to be talking about Philae being found, which is what I'm the most happiest about, because you can see I've got my little Philae out again. I was very, very excited that they found him, and the pictures, and you guys all know how much I love that little lander. And Miss Rosetta is going to be coming to an end soon, which makes me sad. I know Jason's pretty bummed about that too. And what else? We're going to talk about some NASA social stuff. I know that Jason was just recently at the OSIRIS-Rex launch for the NASA social. We're going to be talking about the one that's going to be coming up, which is GOES-R. It's a weather satellite that's going to be going up, and they're going to have a NASA social for that. So I know I applied for it, Alec applied for it, and Jason applied for it. And we're all hoping to get in to represent AstroAnarchy. And also, I changed my name on Twitter, everybody. It's now Galileo Moon. And the reason why, which shout out to my mom for coming up with that name. I appreciate it. Thanks, Mom. And so I can have AstroAnarchy dedicated to the AstroAnarchy Twitter that Alec does an amazing job taking care of. So thank you for doing that, Alec. Okay, so I think the first thing I want to talk about is OSIRIS-Rex, because that was pretty exciting. We're going to be taking some samples from an asteroid. I think I said comet earlier, but it's an asteroid. And
asteroid, comet,
comet, asteroid.
To each its own. One
There's a
smaller
difference.
and larger.
There is a big difference.
Okay, does size really matter? I mean, we can all argue about that. So,
well, it does. Yeah, it does matter, and especially in asteroids and comets.
And that,
I know it's just a forever joke,
Yes, it's a forever joke between.
Especially in hazardous asteroids and comets.
Yes, potentially hazardous, large, massive asteroid.
Well, and
not to Jupiter; it'll still eat you up.
Oh God, the Jupiter pictures.
Yeah, like Shoemaker Levy. I love those. Love that one. Anyways, sorry.
Okay.
Sorry for interrupting.
We're gonna try not to get off track tonight, right, Jason?
If we can avoid it, yes.
If we can avoid it, which is not going to happen. So the reason why Bennu.
Yes.
Okay, I've been corrected. Bennu. Good. I'm glad I know how to say it now. Is a B-type asteroid. And the reason why it was chosen: proximity, size. Size matters, right?
Size matters.
So it's 500 meters big, and we're hoping to somehow get closer to the origins of how the universe started.
Or at least our solar system.
Yeah, there you go. Solar system. Thank you.
Yeah, because the actual asteroid being in our solar system, it could actually be closely related to our planets more in a more personal sense than anything in another solar system. Because
well, Bennu is. But the interesting thing about Bennu is it's basically a leftover piece from the formation of the Earth and the inner planets. So by getting a pristine sample off of the surface of Bennu, will be able to tell what type of environment the Earth evolved in or formed in. So, and that's something that's difficult to get by pieces of asteroid that fall to Earth as meteorites, because they've been baked coming through the atmosphere. They obviously land somewhere, so whether they land on ice or whether they land on anywhere on the surface, they're going to be contaminated. So this is an uncontaminated sample of really the proto-material that made up our planet. So that's a big deal.
I believe this will be the largest sample return since Apollo 17.
It is. You're right.
Yeah.
Yes.
It is the largest one since Apollo 17.
Yeah, if they get their full amount, which basically everybody I spoke to about the mission thinks that they will, just because of the way that the sample mechanism actually works, and the fact that it works really well. They think that they should be able to get, and I want to say up to 2 kilograms. Am I reaching on this? I think
that's what I heard too.
So that's basically the full amount. If they get everything that they want to get, they'll have about 2 kilograms of material to play with after it lands here on Earth. Of course, that's not going to be until 2023. At the end of the mission, so we'll all have to be we'll have to be a little well. I mean, they have a date on this one, so I think it's somewhere in September. There's an exact day that this return is going to
I did not hear that. I heard that it was roughly. I didn't hear there was an exact date.
They've basically, I mean, if everything goes exactly according to their plan, they'll have they could drive out to the desert on the day it lands.
Oh, that is so exciting.
So,
that's going to be awesome.
It's not, but it's also not going to get there until 2018.
And the landing mechanism.
Is there a date? I'm sorry, Alec, go ahead.
The sample return mechanism is the same as the one used on Stardust, right?
Yes, it's very close to that. It's I mean, basically the same. Yeah, basically the same construction there, because Lockheed built that, and Lockheed built this, and it was basically if it ain't broke, don't fix it method of engineering. So even though OSIRIS-Rex has a lot of new instruments on there, the construction of the actual piece is pretty much the same. The interesting thing is that it's a whole new sampling mechanism. So the tag sample, which is basically on the end of a long arm, and when you say arm, it literally is an arm, because it has a shoulder, it has an elbow, it has a wrist, and that's going to reach out and touch the asteroid. That's all new. But the sample return mechanism is the same.
I heard some interesting stories about how it came about initially, the concept of it, of using this device. So,
well, what did you hear?
Yeah, let's hear it.
In the dark.
That's why we're here.
Talking about essentially like the arm.
About starting on a napkin, and then tested with a shop vac and a cup in someone's garage. Just the concept of it.
Well, that's cool.
That's something that I remember reading something about. So I'll have to look up the specific story, but
yeah, big ideas start small.
Exactly. Big ideas start small. Absolutely. Exactly. Science starts somewhere, right?
Exactly.
I know Jason and I were getting into a little Twitter war earlier today with
it gets interesting
with our
sometimes.
thread. Yeah, it was very interesting.
I won't name names, but it does.
We're not naming names. We're not going to actually even talk about. I don't even want to get into that debate either. But it was just a mess.
But yeah, well, Twitter. It's a public forum.
But we love it. Look what it brought us. It brought us all, well, except for Caroline and I. We met at school, but it brought us all together.
Yeah, well.
Yeah.
So anyway, so you wanted to know about the social.
Yes.
And
tell us about it. How was it?
It was actually, I mean, it was amazing. It was one of the best socials I've been to, and it was in fact, the 6th social I've attended. So yeah, since so my first social was the last launch of Atlantis in July 2011. That's back when we used to call them tweet ups, but now they're socials. And that started the whole thing. After seeing that was 150 people got together. This OSIRIS-Rex launch, this was 100 people. So it was also the second, I think it was the second largest social I'd been to, although Juno might have been about the same as well. But anyway, we all got together on the morning of the 7th. we met up. Most of us came in to Florida on the 6th. And what I do too is I started up a Facebook page so that way everybody who was accepted could kind of get a chance to meet each other and know what was going on and know where everyone was coming from before they actually left to go down to Florida. So that helped break the ice a little bit first. And also it helps people know, well, where do you stay and where do you want, I'm here in town over here. Does anybody want to meet for dinner? So it helps that all happening. So so I kind of spearheaded that campaign to get everybody on the same page. So we met up on the morning, early in the morning on the 7th at the press accreditation office just outside of the KSC gates. And we all got there, we got our badges, the buses came, the dogs sniffed our bags. Yeah, there's actually a pretty heavy security presence now. It used to be that, you could just go there, pick up your badge and drive in and park next to the VAB. And get yourself over to the press site. They don't do that anymore. They don't do that anymore. So now now they bus you everywhere. No one can go anywhere without bus or an escort or something. But from then on, it was just we had a tent set up at the press site, which is where the famous countdown clock is. Of course, now it's a digital model. The old analog model is sitting outside of the visitor center. So it was nice seeing that again. And they had Wi-Fi in the tent. And they had visiting speakers come and talk to us. People from the mission came. Then right after meeting up at the tent, introducing ourselves, where we're from and what we're all about, we drove out to Playa Linda Beach Road, which actually is on the Air Force Base area, and we got a chance to see the rollout of the Atlas V on Launch Complex 41. So that was really cool. In fact, I got
so cool.
Yeah, that was the first time I had seen something like that. Usually they're already set up, or by the time we get around. I was going to share a couple of pictures here, so bear with me as I figure this out. Start. Okay, so this here is a picture of the Atlas V, the ULA Atlas V. After it had begun the rollout process and was en route from the vertical integration facility that you see here over on the right-hand side, all the way over to the launch tower at LC-41. And one of the interesting things too about this view that we had from the media hill on the beach road was in the background there, you can see Launch Complex 40, which is where the SpaceX Falcon 9 explosion had happened just a week earlier. So here you can see the proximity. How it's only there's barely a mile. I think it might just be just about a mile separating the two complexes. So that's why that's why there was so much concern over the status of OSIRIS-Rex, because it was already integrated on top of the rocket, and it was inside the VIF. And when that explosion went off, there were people who felt their building shake from 12, 15 miles away. So there was real concern about the integrity of OSIRIS-Rex, just a mile away. So it was good to see that all worked out well. But anyway, you can see the blackened tower. You can see the crumpled crumpled strong back here. I mean, that was quite an explosion. But anyway, that was our view there. This was a little bit of a zoomed in view there. Again, on the way to the launch tower.
Is that SLC 37 back there, that white building?
Yeah, in the far background. Which is, I believe, where the Delta IV Heavies launched from. I think that's where that's the last launch social I had been to was the EFT-1, which was a Delta IV Heavy, and I think it was from that SLC complex back there.
Yeah, I was there for the NROL 37 launch, and that was out of SLC 37.
Okay, so that was our view, which was super cool. And then I'll scroll through these next couple because later on that day we were able to go to the pad and meet up with the ULA CEO Tori Bruno and the COO. I forget his name, David. I can't remember his last name. I'm sorry, David. I don't have it on the tip of my tongue here. But anyway, we were able to see the Atlas V with the the OSIRIS-Rex PLF at the top there with the branding, which was super cool. You could see the umbilicals are still attached because this was a day before launch. And we were about 100 yards away, so I was able to really zoom in there with my 600mm lens and get the details of the print on the payload fairing. So that was really, really neat. That was the first time I had been to the pad like that. So I'm gonna unclick this here.
I love that picture so much. It's a great picture.
Thank you, thank you.
Well, that's
so
because
anyway,
Jason takes amazing pictures.
Oh, thank you.
Some great pictures.
Okay. I'm not,
Do you use a tripod?
I don't.
Okay. You have got to show your Harvest Moon picture later.
I will. I'll dig it out at the end of.
Okay, we'll talk about that later. Okay.
At the end of the broadcast.
I can't even wait.
So I'll tell you the story about that one too.
My mom loved it so much, she wanted me to put it as her laptop background.
Really?
Yes.
Nice.
So,
you're welcome, Mom. So, and thank you.
Continue.
So anyway, so after doing a meet and greet with Tori and David, and by the way, they were super cool. I have, and Rochelle, you had said this on Twitter that Tori Bruno is really a class act, and he is. I mean, here's a guy. Obviously, he's the CEO of one of NASA's, basically NASA's best launch service provider, and I mean, he's a real big shot, and he loves space, and he loves people, and he loves people who love space. So it was his pleasure, you could tell, just to stand there and address us as, I mean, we're fans, we're social media people. Some of us, I mean, some of us have big followings, some of us have small followings, and he was great answering questions from everybody. So, yes.
I just went really quick because not only, I mean, it's genuine because he's always responding to people on Twitter. He's always down to earth.
It's so great. I love it.
Yeah, he is. I hope to get him on the show one of these days. He's just an amazing guy, and I'm really glad
amazing guy.
Super, so cool.
Super cool guy.
We've had we had Ian on here not that long ago with some help from ULA. So
yes, we did. We love Ian. So.
Actually, one of the funny things was we were all like crowding against him and stuff and trying to get pictures with him and everything. And he reaches into his pocket of his, and don't ask me how these guys wear full business suits with sport jackets in the Florida humidity, because I was ready to drop dead with a t-shirt on, and my he's in a full jacket, keeping his cool. But I guess when you're that cool, you can do that. But he reaches into his suit coat pocket, and he brings out stickers. So he hands me, I got a little ULA sticker from him, and he hands out a few other stickers because he had some in his pocket. And he was going, yeah, here, take these. They told me to give these out. That's what he said. So that was funny.
That's cool.
Anyway, so then from there, after getting a good look at the Atlas V, we went back for lunch. And we went back to the tent for lunch, and then hold on a second. No, we actually went back to the operations center right across the street from the VAB, and which, if to those who don't know, the VAB is the vertical assembly building. That's the enormous square block, building at Kennedy Space Center, where they've put everything together from the Saturn V's to the space shuttles, and soon the SLS, and that's actually what they're working on inside there, is to format it for SLS. But anyway, that's the VAB. Right across the street is the operations center, and they have a media room in there. So we all filed in there, and they had the TV set up, and that's where they broadcast the Q&As that they did about OSIRIS-Rex. So we were able to talk to some of the principal investigator, Dante Loretta, a few other people from the mission. They had some scientists in from Goddard. I know C. Alex Young was there. Michelle Fowler was there. So they had scientists in who were just going to talk about asteroids and our solar system in general. So we learned a lot about not just the mission, but also space science from specialists from all over NASA facilities. So that was also really super cool. And one of the nice things about NASA Socials is we are granted basically the same type of treatment and access that media get. So if you're coming in from an ABC or a CBS affiliate, and you're covering this event, or coming in from Florida today, or one of the aviation publications, you're going to see the same things, or as a social attendee, you're going to see the same things that those people see, and you're going to meet the same people. So if you ever have doubts about applying for a NASA social, don't. Just do it, because you're gonna see some really incredible things, and basically be treated like media, which in this case is a really good thing. So anyway, that was that. Yeah.
They and the last one that Carolina and I went to, I mean, it was basically rolling out the red carpet.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
They're amazing. So even if you get turned down once,
Langley.
turned down twice, trust me.
It happens to the best of us.
Yeah. I mean, some of us
all been turned down.
Yeah, some of us. So yeah, 3-4, wait lists, and just keep improving your social media presence and putting in applications.
Yeah.
And you know what, they love, and I mean, again, I don't know the inside story, but based on what I've seen and who's coming, they really love people who are reaching an audience for them that maybe they don't feel that they have a good enough
that
reach
reminds me,
into.
like a friend of mine is a police captain, and he got selected for a NASA social.
That's perfect.
That's something that he's not usually doing space stuff, but he's interested in it.
Right.
So,
I mean, I rarely come across people who are doing exactly the same thing that I'm doing, which is writing and following space news on a daily basis. There are a few of them, but there's a lot less now per social than there was when it first started a few years ago, when basically everybody was a space fan. Now there's a few of those, and then there'll be teachers, and then there'll be people who are into. There was a woman in front of me. She was a DJ, and she wrote about or publicized music news. So that was something, that's that hi Erin, that was her thing. And then there are people who are stay-at-home parents, and so that they're talking to an entirely different audience. So at the end of the day, what NASA has is 150 or 100 or 50 people who are each going to spread the word out about what's happening at NASA, at our country's space administration, to groups that maybe have no idea what's going on. And some of them, a lot of us shared the same comment, that many of the people that we speak to on a daily basis didn't even know what was happening with NASA, and didn't even know, is NASA, is that still a thing? And yes, unfortunately, there is a constituency of people out there in our country who think they're not doing anything. And it does hurt when it's exactly the opposite.
Yeah, it's exactly the opposite, and we get it
exactly
a lot.
The opposite.
Really quick to talk about different people who go to NASA socials. Andy, who is one of my Twitter followers and friends, and a fellow Jeopardy lover. Hi, Andy. He said Julia Collins, he believes, went to a NASA social, and she had been on Jeopardy before. So even Jeopardy contestants go to NASA socials. So that's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
So I'll wrap it up by just kind of giving a talk about the launch itself. So OSIRIS-Rex launched atop the Atlas V 411 on September 8th. So that was Thursday. And it was a 7:05. The launch window opened at 7:05 p.m. and it took off right on time. It couldn't have been more perfect. The weather was great. I want to say it was 90% go for weather. There were no equipment problems. There were no delays. There was nothing that was going to be a bad omen of this launch, and it really was beautiful. I did grab a couple of pictures from the launch. I'll share those. We as a social group, so we were about 3 miles away, which is just outside of the the safety zone, the range safety area. So it was basically as close as you could get, and we were just across the Indian River on the causeway. So we had basically an unobstructed view of the launch site, which was super nice. Let me see here. I'll do a screen share. All right. So I think here I've got, okay, so this is, again, I'm using a 600 millimeter lens, and I also crop into a full frame sensor on my Nikon. So this is from 6 miles away, from just north, about 3 miles north of LC41. Moment of ignition for the Atlas V, and yeah, you can see it taking off there. It was absolutely gorgeous. Really, really, really nice launch. And one of the interesting things about this particular configuration, the 411, it was only the 4th time ULA has flown a 411 launch, and basically 411 is launch provider talk for what's happening on the rocket. There's a 4-meter payload fairing, and I'll close up on this one here. So you can see here. So there's a 4-meter payload fairing. There's one Centaur upper stage, a 2nd stage booster, and then there's a I should say one Centaur 2nd stage, and then there's one solid rocket booster right here. And that's kind of an interesting configuration because it actually gives the rocket a little bit of a sideways push while it's launching. And they can gimbal, they can adjust for that, but regardless, there's a little bit of almost like a Roman candle or a firecracker type movement to the rocket because of the extra boost from that offside booster. So that was neat to watch that happen, and we were able to actually keep an eye on it all the way up. There was not a cloud in the sky, at least in the launch area. So we were able to watch that all the way to SRB jettisoned, and you can see here. And after that point, you couldn't really see it with the naked eye. So that was that. Gorgeous.
That picture is.
You like this one? Yeah.
Yes, that was. I remember I think I retweeted that.
One of the
comment on it. Just such an amazing picture.
One of the weird things
picture.
about, and I haven't figured, maybe there's a photographer out there that can tell me how to stop this from happening. You can see here I've overcompensated for that glow around the exhaust coming from the SRB and the first stage, but you get this dark vignetting around that fiery area, and it happened with me with Atlantis, and it happened here because it's just so bright. It actually overwhelms the sensors, the CCD in the camera. So I don't know how to stop that from happening, but maybe, again, I don't know if I'm using the wrong aperture or what the story is, but I always get this dark halo right around the flame coming out of the engines. So if you're a photographer out there and you know how to keep that from happening, I'm all ears. Let me know. Or if it's, I just got to learn to live with it and enjoy the launch. But
it actually adds to it.
Yeah, it does, but sometimes you want a clean picture, and you don't want to have to you don't want to have to lose detail in the rest to compensate for that part.
That's true.
So again, I process in Lightroom, so I was able to do some things to make it look okay, look purposeful, but still, it kind of angered me that I had to even deal with it. First world pains.
Did it anger you?
It did.
Seriously.
I was very angry.
Damn you.
Yeah.
And then I watched the launch from Port Canaveral, down pretty close to the Cape Canaveral Air Force Station gates, and it was a fantastic day. I can definitely attest to that. Very few clouds in the sky. It went off right on time. Just a beautiful launch to watch. My spot was several miles from the launch pad, but we had a clear line of sight out to the rocket, and it was just it was spectacular to see. Far better than in terms of viewing quality than the Delta IV launch, which I had been to, because it just disappeared in the clouds. But yeah, it was a fantastic launch. I've actually got a picture here of the launch that I took.
Nice.
Just from the area, so you can see the buildings and all that around the launch facility. So yeah, that was that was probably the best individual picture I could get from there, because I was honestly more focused on watching the launch. But yeah, spectacular. And whether it's for a NASA social or not, I would always recommend anyone with even a vague interest in space come down here for at least one launch sometime. Definitely.
I agree.
Well, in that case, well, unfortunately, the sign up has expired, but there is another NASA social coming up for GOES-R, which is another Atlas V launch. This is an Earth observation satellite program, and that's on November 4th. But again, that you can't apply to that one, so I guess bringing it up is moot at this point. But hoping to get into that.
Yeah, me too.
And I do want to say that if for some reason you do sign up for another one and you don't get the confirmation email, they more than likely got it, but I would try emailing them again, not doing the application again, but actually emailing headquarters and asking them, because I went into the Facebook page for the alums, and Jason Townsend helped us. And he said all of our applications had gotten received, but there had been numerous people who were saying that they didn't, that they never got the confirmation email, but they actually did get our apps. So if you don't get your app, just make sure you try contacting and be diligent, so you know that your application did get received and they're not getting multiple duplicates of applications. That's my suggestion.
Do it.
Yes, do it. Did I cut you off? I don't remember. I'm so rude. Weren't you talking about the social?
Who, me?
Jason. Yes, you.
I don't know. I forgot after you cut me off. Lost my train of thought.
Okay, so
well,
Falcon. Oh, go ahead, Alec.
No, I was just gonna give a few words about Langley real quick while we're still on socials.
Yeah, go.
I was selected for the NASA social at the Orion Water Impact Test at NASA Langley, and it was me and I think it was 30 people were selected in total. We all came to Langley and spent the day there basically, and they kind of Orion was kind of the focus of the day, but we got to see a lot of the stuff they're working on, like expandable habitats, which those have been in the news lately with the Beam module on the International Space Station right now. And we got to see some concepts for the asteroid sample retrieval mission, which is, I believe, the first real mission on the board for Orion. And we got a full tour of the facility. It was, I mean, just about any NASA social was a fantastic experience. We got to hear a lot about the Earth science, actually. That was probably the biggest non-Orion related thing we talked about, because a lot of the aircraft, they have a lot of aircraft that are dedicated to NASA's Earth science and observation mission. So that was very cool. And then when we got to saw the actual drop test, I mean, we were right there near the pool on the other side of the barrier. And when they dropped it and it hit the water, we actually had mist. Like, we could all feel mist on our faces after it hit the water and everything. So
okay, that's pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
That's like front
That's
center.
pretty nifty. I like that.
When they were dropping it, they were actually simulating having one of the 3 parachutes out, similar to what happened on Apollo 15, and bringing it in at a certain angle to test the impact forces on the crash test dummies. They had in ACES spacesuits inside the capsule, and it was actually using the heat shield from EFT-1. So some flight hardware on it.
The actual flown heat shield?
Yep, they bolted that to their mock-up and dumped it in the pool. Yeah, so very cool experience. And like I said, any NASA social, whether it's a launch or a test like that or something else, is well worth applying for if you think you can get to it.
Alec, was that a 1 or 2 day social?
1 day. We started in the morning, and we were done shortly after the test. And actually, most socials have speakers. I think we had, 2 of the most notable speakers there that day were Ellen Ochoa, the director of Johnson Space Center in Houston, and veteran space shuttle astronaut, and Mark Kirasich, I believe a veteran flight director, and now the program manager for Orion. So we got to talk to all of them, and that was very cool. And at any NASA social, you're obviously going to have a lot of experts and notable NASA people and contractor people to talk to. So another big draw for those.
And when you're there, never be scared to ask questions. Ask questions.
Yes.
That's what
Yes.
they're
I
there
mean,
for.
if you have a question, don't hesitate to ask. You'll get an answer. You know.
I know one particular person who the camera just absolutely loved at the OSIRIS-Rex launch. Jason.
Who, me?
Yes, you. It's like every A goes like, there's Jason. There's Jason.
Oh yeah.
There's
Well,
Jason.
okay. So no, listen. So here's a word of advice to all of our dear viewers who may get into a NASA social. Get yourself up in the front. If there's a stage, sit in the seat near it. If there are tables, if there's a camera, get up there, because that'll pretty much guarantee that you will be seen, you will be heard, your questions will be answered. They will call on you. This isn't the time to do the cool middle school kid and go to the back of the room and this is when you want to be right in front. You want to really experience it. So when they're going to do group shots and photos, get in front. Get there, get to where things are happening. Get there a couple minutes early. Guarantee yourself a seat, because that makes the experience all the more better. Is when you're really part of it like that.
Oh yeah, when we did our group shot for the Orion one, I was in the back, being one of the taller people there, but I was like right over Mark Kirasich's shoulder, so
But that worked. I mean, okay, so you're tall, all right? I'm not. I'm short.
Oh yeah.
So if I miss the call of like, oh hey everybody, group shot, and I'm not already there, I'm gonna be like the eyes looking over the back of somebody's shoulder, and that's happened to me before, and so that kind of stinks when as the years go by and they show, okay, here's our group shot from 2010 or 2011 or whatever, and you're like, oh yeah, that's me back there, the little two eyes.
The top of my hat.
Yeah, that's my hat back there. So yeah, get yourself right up in front, and guarantee your place in NASA social history. Oh, that was it, Rochelle.
Okay, sorry. No, I was responding to YouTube. Somebody, what is the name? Looking for the name. Psycho Cat 749 said that your images were amazing. I liked them.
Thank you, Psycho Cat 749.
It's a great name, right?
Yeah.
I've met some psycho cats.
All cats are psycho.
Yes. Or a psycho dog. Oh my! Is Ozzy not back there? Oh, he's.
Oh no, Ozzy playing on the couch.
No.
He's asleep.
He's pouting. Yeah. No. He's
Sleepy
pouting.
boy.
He's pouting. And I think Austin's watching right now. My brother, who is in South Carolina.
Hey, Austin.
Hi, Bubby. I love you. So he's in South Carolina with his cool black Camaro in the Air Force. We miss him. So
hot shot.
Austin. Yes, he is.
Cool kid.
You saw the picture of the Camaro. How cool is that Camaro for a first car?
That's pretty nice. My first car was nowhere near that nice.
My first car to push to work.
Yeah, pretty accurate, right?
Right? It was a Nissan Sentra. I don't even remember the year. I think it was from the 80s. It was, anyways, it was a bucket. So, are we done talking about? Somebody very nice.
That's really
sent
nice.
Me a pin from Florida, Alec. Thank you. So I had to show it off.
And
Cool.
to add to that, I was able to get 2 of them at the Air Force Space and Missile History Center.
That's where you got that.
Yeah, at Port Canaveral.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
It's right. It's pretty close to where I was watching the launch. It's also near the SpaceX LCC, and they only had 2 or 3 left. So I got either the last ones or close to it.
Nice.
So
I know.
oh, And although those for the Atlas 411 they didn't have very many, but they also had like Delta 4s and other variants of the Atlas 5 and all that. So well worth looking for them when you.
Well, Jason, you got a cool hat.
I did get a cool hat, but I mean, so.
Oh.
See?
Nice.
That's the badge, yeah.
Nice,
That's
nice.
I was gonna get a T-shirt. I usually get T-shirts, but they didn't. They were hard to find. They only had them at the Space Store. And at one of the other things that we were able to get was tickets to the Visitor Complex. So that in itself was a really nice deal because I think it's about $55 to get in. So what? Go ahead, Alex.
For a plug for the Visitor Center, if you think you're going to go more than once in a year, I think it's like $75 to get a year pass, and that's like $25 more than a day pass.
Oh,
so if you live like within 10 hours, then it's worth getting, especially for launches. Yeah. That cuts a lot of the price out. So.
Well, so I went to the Friday after launch. I went to the Space Store at the Visitor Center. Actually, I spent the whole day at the Visitor Center because it's awesome and I had a good time there. But I went to the Space Store and all the shirts there were all like extra large, 3XL and stuff like that. So I'm like, well, don't you have anything less than that? How about a medium? And the woman who was servicing the counter there, she said, yeah, you might have to check online for that. I'm like, oh, okay. I got a hat.
Well, it's a very nice hat.
And
I got something.
Alec, did you get a hat?
I didn't get a hat for this one, but I did get a unique mission patch for this launch, the Air Force patch for OSIRIS-Rex. Oh, so they like do the Jurassic Park font for it.
Is that the T-Rex one?
Yeah, well, it's all red. I can try to find it, but it's a red patch. It's got like Osiris on it, and then the OSIRIS-Rex characters are all done in like the Jurassic Park font, and it's got the Atlas logo and all that. It's basically the 45th Space Wing patch.
Right. That's super cool.
So it's kind of hard to find those, but I managed to procure one, so I'm excited to add that to my patch.
It's too bad that they're not represented in the Space Store at the KSCVC.
Yeah, if you want 45th Space Wing stuff, the Air Force Space and Missile Center has all that stuff. They have regular patches and all that.
I went there back in 2011 for the when I went for the Atlantis launch because we met up at the SpaceX.
LCC.
That one? Yeah, we met up at the SpaceX LCC. So and then we wandered all over to the store there, which was super cool because it's little, but they got a ton of great stuff. Yeah,
I think they've got a full Atlas LV3 engine, and then boilerplate Mercury stuff, and like they illustrated kind of an underrepresented part of the Space Coast's history, how it all started with mostly Air Force stuff before NASA really came onto the scene in the early 60s.
Oh, those NASA kids.
Before, So, but yeah, it's free to get into the History Center, and they've got a great gift shop if you're looking for mission patches, especially if you're there for something that isn't a NASA launch, like an NRO launch or another military launch,
right.
Like one of those SpaceX commercial launches. They'll usually stock the patches for those. So if you want to get something like that and not have to order it online, that's where you want to go.
What was the other one? The MUOS launches and stuff like that?
MUOS. They had those patches and all that. So definitely worth a stop, especially if you're watching from Port Canaveral because it's literally right there. And they've got bleachers set up to watch across the river. So
right. Okay. Next.
Okay, so the Falcon 9 fire. Now, there's not much information. We can only speculate about what happened. Where did I see it? That during fueling, that it has something to do with during fueling, and they started the static fire, and it went boom. Really bad. So I know that there's going to be a SpaceX launch from Vandenberg tomorrow night. Alec, isn't there?
No, it's actually got moved to NET Monday the 26th.
No, not that one. That's ULA.
Oh, right, right.
There's
right.
actually a Falcon 9 launch that's supposed to be coming out from Vandenberg on the 19th. So
Are
tomorrow.
they? I don't. Did they ground the Falcon 9 as a whole, or is it just out of Cape Canaveral?
I thought that they grounded it as a whole until
That's what I did
further
too.
research on
Yeah,
the
I'm
whole
not-
technical issue.
There's nothing on
I
the
think
launch
that they
schedule,
grounded
right?
it.
So I'm guessing they nixed all those launches until they figure out exactly what happened and on what end. the
They're hoping they'll
anomaly-
have it.
Whether it was a
Sorry.
problem with the specific ground systems at Cape Canaveral or a problem with the rocket or some combination of the two. I'm sure once more information comes out, we'll know.
Yeah. So, well, on top of that, we don't know exactly what happened. So it's all speculation. Well, one of the speculations I saw was the conspiracy theory that aliens blew it up.
Oh,
Nice. That
oh,
is
Did you guys see that?
next to me at Port Canaveral. Some of the people that pulled up next to us at Port Canaveral, I think it was a British family on vacation in the area, and the guy asked me if I thought it was a drone that blew it up.
So many.
There's yeah, he said I thought it was crap, but I had to ask.
I couldn't even click on the link to watch how ridiculous the conspiracy theory was. All they show is this spaceship of aliens flying over, and then the.
I mean, in situations like this where there isn't much information available, and even in situations where there is a lot of information available, conspiracy theories are gonna prop up, even ridiculous ones. It happens, unfortunately.
Yes, it does. And
yeah, the fact of the matter is that SpaceX is a private company, and they don't have to tell us, the exact technical issues and what happened. I mean, if it was
even with NASA, where we know all the details of the Apollo missions, you still got an unfortunate amount of people that still believe in the hoax conspiracy theories.
Oh yeah. Well,
so
where there's a will, there's a way. For sure.
They want to believe the bad. They want to believe that the aliens did. They want to believe that NASA's bad and there's a conspiracy, and it's just.
I mean, some people are willing to, relook those things with evidence, but some people it's not. You can't get
through to them at all.
So speaking of the explosion of the Falcon 9, how do you think this is going to kind of tartar SpaceX's further business? I mean, do you think that people are going to start depending on other launch vehicles as opposed to SpaceX so heavily?
I think that's an excellent question. I don't think it's going to tarnish them at all. I mean, they lost the payload, unfortunately. I don't think it's going to tarnish them. That's my opinion. It's SpaceX. People love SpaceX.
I mean,
I think it's more than people loving them, though. I mean, this was a business loss, really. I mean, this is going to affect how.
And that's what I'm saying. That's my point on it, because
more than just perception.
Ultimately, people need things in the air. People need satellites. We need a ton of stuff going up. So the business is going to go to whoever can get it done the fastest. You know what I mean? If they're having issues and they can't be launking, then
and then
that's money that's going somewhere else.
One of the concerns that
just real quick, Alec,
that seems
just real quick, because we have ULA that has an amazing launch record, and
yeah,
you just kind of you have to. I've said it before. It's you've got to. I'm going to try not to bash SpaceX because I do like them and I think they're an amazing company, but there's been issues, and yes, you got to work through those issues. But when you lose a customer's payload, you have to think, okay, do they need to mature a little bit more? Are they having too many launches? It seemed like they were back to back to back. And of course, everybody loves a SpaceX launch because getting to see it land again and the excitement of that. I mean, I absolutely love it, but
Amos 6 would have been their 9th launch of 2016. That's a lot of launches.
9 months.
Yeah.
It's a lot of
launches.
And
I mean, the whole launch business is, a business of details. It's, paying attention to details. And this was, a detail that got overlooked or, I mean, we don't really know, but.
You know,
Yeah,
I
we
had
don't.
heard that you know, people talking about Boeing being behind SpaceX in the race to the International Space Station for the commercial crew program, and I mean, unless SpaceX figures this out remarkably fast, you know, it's looking like Boeing will be more likely to get CST-100 in the air. You know, of course, we can't say anything for sure at all either way right now because we don't know what happened or how long this will ultimately take.
And these are our opinions. You know, this is
Yep.
this is something that these are our opinions, and
Oh yeah, of course. I mean,
yeah,
there-
they should
yeah.
none
of us-
oh, well,
none
she
of us
said this is
here-
what, or he
No.
said this is what. And
None of us
no.
here have
Yeah.
any insider information or anything
Right.
like that. I mean, we're just conjecturing based on what we've read and what we've seen and what we've experienced. But I mean, it's yeah, there's no official statements here. But I would have to assume that an event like that got everybody at NASA, given them the real hairy eyeball over, you know, at SpaceX, being like, listen, what are you guys doing over there? Obviously, you know, they had to scramble to make sure that OSIRIS-Rex was safe. That was their mission. But also SpaceX is working on, well, they basically have leased Pad 39A, and that's where they're going to be. That's where they're working on sending the new Dragon and the Falcon Heavy up from. So, I mean, if something like that were to happen on hollowed ground, like Pad 39A, that would be an enormous loss and to on Kennedy Space Center you know, area. So
Right.
yeah, that I guarantee that NASA is really putting a lot of lean on SpaceX to figure out what the problem is, and that it will never ever happen again. That's just my 2 cents on that one.
And as
You
they
know,
should, as
Yeah,
they should, because I mean,
NASA does not like,
no.
you know, I mean, obviously, yes, things happen, but you know, you got to really have your stuff buttoned up in triplicate for
Yes.
for NASA's for them to be satisfied that you're ready.
Well, to send astronauts up,
Yeah,
which is on,
Yeah,
which is
no
on the
one-
books
no
for
one
the
wants-
next couple of years. I mean, you know, although from what I heard, it looked like the launch abort system would have been able to.
that was an interesting video.
Yeah.
That was a really interesting video. I'm trying to remember who shared it. It was somebody that worked at SpaceX, and they said somebody else there had put together a video show. It was basically a montage that showed in real time the Dragon's escape mechanisms, the abort rockets from a test that they had done on top of the last Falcon 9 explosion, and it showed how Dragon would have been able to actually escape the explosion.
Well,
would have been able to fly away in front of the explosion, hopefully
Yeah.
keeping
You saw
keeping anything inside safe.
And you saw the payload appeared to survive the initial incident,
Right.
and was destroyed
Fall
afterwards.
down
That
and-
just kind of reinforces the thought that this would not have as long as the abort system worked correctly, this wouldn't have been a potential loss of crew situation.
Right. I mean, you know, I can only imagine what riding an on-pad aborted rocket or aborted capsule would feel like.
I remember there was a
there.
Soyuz. Yeah, there was a Soyuz launch. Like the only time an abort system has ever actually been used was on a Soyuz launch a while back.
Uh-huh.
And they ripped, like, I think the video just showed, I mean, it just gets ripped off the rocket like that. I mean, it's
And that
impressive
itself
to
is
see.
scary and probably prone to injury, but
Yeah.
hopefully, obviously
Yeah,
not
I mean,
loss
the
of
crew-
crew.
I think the crew said it was an awful experience, but better than being dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're just all of a sudden getting accelerated another way.
Yeah. But I mean, it's not like a rocket launch where, you know, I mean, yes, it's quick, but there's still a gradual push upwards. I mean, this is like
Yeah, you're
Being
getting
this is going from
ejected. Yeah.
no motion to being ripped up by by multiple solid rocket motors.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
from your vehicles if you're using like a puller system.
But still, it was an interesting video. I wish I should look for it and share it in the side link there. But it was interesting to see how it could, almost like a movie, it was able to leave the exploding second stage ahead of the explosion itself. It was fascinating.
Yeah, I mean, and launch abort systems have been around since the Mercury program.
Right.
You know, Mercury had a puller tower. Gemini had ejection seats. Apollo had a puller tower, and the space shuttle's abort system was more dangerous, I guess. I mean, the first couple space shuttle launches had ejection seats, but when they started the full complement of crew launches, they I think RTLS was the most dramatic abort, where the shuttle would separate from the stack, do a 180 and return to Kennedy. But those are still all much more dicey than just having a capsule ripped off of a rocket.
I can't imagine.
So, and of course, Orion will have a puller abort system like this, and CST-100 and Dragon will both have pusher abort systems.
So I have a question. After, you know, how ready is SpaceX to realistically go to Mars?
I mean, you know, to go to Mars, we need habitats. We need resources.
There's no
technology there right now.
Yeah, I mean, even to do a boots on the ground situation, there's no machinery in place to actually leave Mars once you land there. So yeah,
exactly.
Quite a few years out, at least.
I think that Red Dragon, where it's just where there's no one on board, just basically a technology demonstration, could work in the near future. But I mean, if you're talking about humans on Mars, that's, no matter who you're talking about, that's going to be a bit,
Yeah, the only way SpaceX is going to actually put people on Mars is if, they're working with NASA and they're using, NASA's research and NASA's footwork that they've actually put into the science behind actually surviving in this type of environment and getting back and forth so regularly.
I think the best way to do it would be, or with the history of public-private partnerships we've had in space exploration, going back to the Apollo program, you obviously had contractors building these parts. NASA didn't, these aren't all just built by NASA.
Exactly, yeah, and that's the beauty of it, is that NASA doesn't have to, waste their time and money building, parts if they can have other companies do it.
Commercial crew and commercial cargo are both natural extensions on that, where commercial companies take a bit more responsibility in owning the hardware. I think the best way to get to Mars or anywhere else in the further future would be public-private partnerships, like we've been working towards with how the International Space Station's resupply goes and the future crew launches.
It can be beautiful for the economy as well, I definitely see a positive outcome for private and commercial industries working together.
One of the interesting panels that we at the OSIRIS-Rex NASA Social that we got to be part of was an in situ resource panel showing how we can get the resources that we need to live and work on Mars and on the Moon and other places in space on site, and how it's not only that we can, but that we have to learn how to do that. How to extract water, how to extract oxygen, hydrogen for fuel, how to grow things in Martian soil, just basically how to live on another planet that's not Earth. And so that's a big development that's happening over at NASA. One of the companies that's doing a lot of work there is SwampWorks, and that was led by the panel was led by Dr. Phil Metzger. He was there talking about some of the ways that we can use we can obtain resources on site or in situ, as they say. So that was interesting, and that's something that will need to be developed before we can really be realistic and say that we're going to be sending people to Mars. We have to know how to live there, and so that's an in process. That's work in progress right now, and again, a few years out, but things are happening there.
Yeah, I mean, for a long-term missions, ISRU is it's integral to any long-term plan to stay on Mars.
Right, ISRU, in situ resource utilization. So that's the need that we
I mean, no
we have
matter,
to develop.
yeah, whether you're talking about NASA, SpaceX, or some combination of the two,
Right.
you're gonna need that. So,
But there are some naysayers that feel that NASA's taking too long to get to Mars. It's taking all this money, and you know what? When you look at what happened with SpaceX, and there's a reason behind everything. Yes, it's taken a long time, but there's protocols, there's safety measures, there's you have to make sure all this stuff is going to. I mean, you're sending human lives to a different planet.
Right. Well, NASA is not and never will be in the business of purposely sending humans off to die in space.
Exactly.
Accidents happen, tragedies happen, and yes, there have been poor judgment behind some of the tragedies that have happened. But on the whole, NASA is not going to just see what happens and send people off.
Yeah.
No, I mean that's not
I mean,
that's not what they do.
there's a difference between being, taking calculated risks and being reckless.
Right. Right.
What's so beautiful about the in situ survival thing we're talking about and stuff is not only is NASA partaking in this research, but is ESA, is now the Indian Space Agency. Now it is a whole world collective of even the International Space Station. They're doing the research to input. Sorry, go ahead, Alec.
No. And I was just going to mention, if we're talking about international space accomplishments, you had the Chinese recently launched Tiangong 2 just a couple days ago. So a lot of developments in space coming from all corners of the world.
Yeah, so before we know it, the technology will catch up with the research, but I think patience is a virtue. Good things come to those who wait.
The technology will catch up to the need, and that's how technology is driven. We say there's a need, and the technology catches up, and then it's used, for other things that we never even imagined. So developing and spending the resources and the money and the time to develop ways of extracting resources from basically alien landscapes is going to have tremendous use right here on Earth. So I'm excited to see how that gets translated.
Yeah, it's an exciting future right now for sure.
Well, yeah, I mean, I don't think there's been any other time when you had Blue Origin recently unveiling its New Glenn rocket, and then.
You mean the Blue Onion?
Blue Onion. That's great.
And
how did that make? I'm sorry, Alec. How did that happen?
I don't know. I honestly don't know.
How did it make it to press it into the hands of people? Now, that should have been caught by some. That is so. Sorry, I just go ahead, Alec.
And then you got Boeing trucking along with CST-100, NASA making a lot of progress with Orion, SpaceX. I mean, despite the incident, still having made a lot of progress, and I believe Orbital ATK's Antares will be returning to flight next month from Wallops.
Yeah, that would be great because that was actually what it was supposed to be beginning of August, and that got delayed. So I'm looking forward to that because if it's depending on what time it is, I might actually be able to see it from here in Rhode Island.
I saw some pictures from one of the Antares launches of it being like you seeing it streaking across the sky over New York City.
Yeah. So if it's late enough, you can see it from select south-facing shores here because we get a pretty unobstructed view right down the eastern seaboard.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me there was one night Saturn V launch, Apollo 17, and I heard you could see the launch all the way from Georgia.
Wow.
I mean, just being such a large, like I think it was like central southern Georgia. You could see it.
I'm not surprised about that at all. I mean, I would assume even further north than that.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. With current rockets, I mean, you can't, like an Atlas V or Delta IV, you couldn't see anything from outside of, maybe Jacksonville. But, with Saturn V, that's a whole other animal compared to everything but, the upcoming SLS and from what I've seen, New Glenn.
Well, I was talking to some guys down at KSC, and they were, some old timers down there, and they were saying that the shuttle night launches were visible. I mean, they would light up the horizon as far north as Georgia easily.
Yeah, I've heard of people being able to see it from like a night launch from like Tampa on the other side of Florida, being able to see it streaking across the sky. And those are that gets progressively further because they're flying east, obviously, but you should be able to see it, be able to say you've seen it.
That's pretty cool.
I'm sorry, did we get sidetracked? We did a little bit. That's my fault.
No, it's okay. And to get on topic really quick though, the launch that was going to be out of Vandenberg is pushed until no earlier than September 26th.
That's the Atlas.
Yes, that's the Atlas V. Yeah, it's been because they had an issue that was caught early, thankfully. And then a wildfire decided it wanted to break out on base. So they're trying to contain that. So they're waiting until the 26th, no earlier than the 26th, until launch. So hopefully we'll get a launch on the 26th, which would be great because I'm off. So I'm being selfish.
Oh, and then that pushes it a little closer to the next Atlas V launch out of Kennedy or out of Cape Canaveral. I think that's early October. I don't remember the exact day, but there should be a lot of ULA launches coming up. I mean, you got the one in October, and then you got GOES-R in early November. I mean, they've had an impressive. I mean, you usually talk about SpaceX when you're talking about locking out launch cadence, but ULA has a very impressive number of launches this year so far.
Yes, they do.
All of which, of course, maintaining the remarkable success rate.
An amazing.
Yeah, that's definitely key. That's definitely key.
Can you guys tell we love ULA here? We do. We love ULA. We love everybody there, and Ian and Tori. We love you guys. Okay, so are we done talking about fires and grounded rockets and move on to Philae? He was found. So Philae is floating around on 67P, which I am not going to try to tell you the name of the.
Come on.
Not even. It's not even on my notes because I knew you were going to try to talk me into it, and I'm going to try to make myself look like an idiot with that one. So, but he was found, and I'm going to boast a little bit. My tweet was featured on CNN's article, so I thought that was pretty cool. I was really excited about that.
As you should be.
Yeah, it was fun. So Philae, they got a picture of him, and I still think it looks like the Loch Ness monster. It looks like.
I got a picture up.
Good. There he is. There's Nessie.
Yep.
Tell me that does not look like the Loch Ness monster.
A little bit.
It does. Or a giraffe. Like just one of those grainy shots of the Loch Ness monster. It does.
It's just amazing.
Say, how does anybody know what the Loch Ness monster looks like?
Okay.
Well, it looks like a fake Loch Ness monster.
I just want to say that speaking of that, I got a good laugh out of that that Terminator picture that you posted, Jason. A few days ago.
That was pretty hilarious. That was a good one. He comes up with some good ones once in a while, huh?
Every now and then I'm a funny.
Every now and then there's a funny.
Well, what was really, I mean, if you really think about it, what was really amazing was the fact that it was even found inside this OSIRIS, not to be confused with the OSIRIS-Rex mission, but the OSIRIS imaging instrument on Rosetta, that Philae was actually spotted in this. So, I mean, they were candidate spots, but still, I mean, to look in this and go, oh my gosh, there it is. I mean, that's incredible.
That had to have been an exciting moment for them to see.
Oh yeah.
Him sitting there. I mean, when I saw that come across my Twitter, I was so excited. I mean,
Oh yeah, well,
I would have started cheering.
I mean, after what? After 2 years, after almost 2 years, we have an idea of, well, our first visual confirmation of where Philae ended up. You know, this is the first time we've actually seen it.
Yeah, the data can finally be completed.
Yeah.
Dun, dun, dun,
Yeah,
dun.
and a lot of us were very sad when he had to be turned off, and to be able to see him there, it was kind of
Well, keep in mind, technically, Philae wasn't turned off. The communication system on Rosetta was turned off.
yes.
So basically, there was no chance to ever hear from him again. But Philae's been off for at least a good year.
This is true, because he's had no battery power.
Yeah.
So no direct sunlight, no battery, no Philae, and Miss Rosetta is going to be coming to an end soon at the end of the month. Jason, do you know what date? Is it the 30th?
The 30th, yeah. On the 30th, Rosetta will be brought to the surface of Comet 67P, Churyumov-Gerasimenko, and
You show off.
so Rosetta will be brought to the surface. It won't be.
That sounds Russian.
It won't be technically a crash landing. It will be a directed landing, but chances are, because Rosetta is not intended to be brought to the surface, there's a good chance that that some of the instruments will be damaged, or the solar arrays will be damaged on impact. But along the way, and possibly even afterwards, really important data will be returned as to the nature of that region of the comet, and it's going to be near some active pits, or an active area near some open pits. So there will be a lot of stuff to actually look at on the way down, and potentially maybe even while Rosetta is there.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I actually did not know that. That's
there's a
really
series of
wonderful to hear.
there's a series of open pits in a region called I think Mayat. And there are 3 pits, and so Rosetta is going to be put down in the middle between 2 of them. So it's an exciting area because there's fresh surface. Some stuff has been expelled from the comet and probably landed back down. So there'll be a lot to see on the way down. Rosetta's still doing science all the way to the end. She's
Gotta love it, right?
Yeah.
Gotta love it till the very end.
Mm-hmm.
That's our girl. I think that's it.
Well,
wait, was there something else? Did you forget something important?
Well, there's the upcoming International Space Station crew.
That's right. Yes.
I think that got pushed back a little bit, but that should be launching. Let me try to find the date. I know it was. I think it was like the 23rd, but I think they pushed it back a little bit. It should be so is MSO2, and it'll be going sometime in early October, from what I recall. Okay. So that'll be rounding out the Expedition 49 crew, with Sergei Rizikov, Andrei Borisenko, and Robert Kimbrough, being NASA's crew member.
Right.
Okay,
very cool.
So that's something to keep an eye on. The International Space Station, I mean, since 1998, keeps on chugging.
Yes, it does.
So that's, and then of course the upcoming orbital ATK launch, and the Worldview 4 launch on the 26th. And
hopefully
on the 26th, and then
fingers crossed.
Hopefully we'll hear more about SpaceX's investigation in the coming weeks and months. So
yeah, exactly.
And also a quick shout out for the Air Force firefighters, security forces guys, and other personnel that responded to the pad fire, or to the explosion, I guess you'd say.
Oh yeah, the incident management team over at the 45th Space Wing, they really did an amazing job at
Totally.
clearing that up.
What a lot of people don't realize is that these, like the Space Wings have a lot of personnel that aren't necessarily directly in space. You got your security forces, police, your firefighters, your
Don't touch the fences.
yeah, your
I don't touch the.
yeah, and all the. And all the personnel that are designed that are meant to go out there and keep the area safe when incidents like this happen.
Mm-hmm.
So and this was a good demonstration of why that's so necessary. And of course, NASA has its own people in the event something happened at Kennedy. That like during the space shuttle program, you had the armored cars they had for the astronauts. Something happened on LC-39A or B, and they'd get the firefighters in that way and so forth. And then the NASA Protective Services and a lot of public safety is involved in spaceflight that you don't necessarily see a whole lot of, but are obviously working behind the scenes there, especially when there isn't an incident like with SpaceX.
Right. And they reacted very quickly, and so we thank them for that. And we're also thinking about the firefighters that are over at Vandenberg fighting the fire. That's there as well. The last I heard, it was 800 acres. So. Our thoughts were with them as well. It's hot here today, and it's going to be hot here tomorrow. It's going to be in the 90s again, so it's prime for the fire to just keep spreading. So I'm hoping they can contain it soon.
Is it still? I mean, I'm assuming it's like always, but is it still like drought situation, really bad?
Yes.
So, okay.
Californians
really
are
stop
the
too
exact
much.
people you want to send to Mars because we can survive without a lot of water.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, then some of that in situ resource utilization will come in handy in California then.
Yeah,
once
I was gonna say, yeah, we'll have no problem recycling our water.
Yeah.
In the future, 'cause, I mean, we're already close to it. You know what I
Since
mean?
some people living out in like Riverside and San Bernardino. No.
I want to tell Justin on YouTube I will touch the fence because he told me don't touch the fence. I said I will touch the fence. Oh Lordy. Okay, I feel like there's something I'm forgetting. I know when I get to the Harvest Moon pictures because I think we're saving the best for last. Yeah, so make sure you get those ready. But I feel like we're forgetting something important that's happened. And anybody? I can't remember. Anybody out there on YouTube?
There's
on
the
Twitter?
we went over the NASA socials and the SpaceX incident, OSIRIS-Rex, and the upcoming ISS crew and Antares and the upcoming Atlas launch.
Okay, well, I think we covered it all.
And
except
Philae.
for-
So.
And that leads us to the Harvest Moon, which is
Harvest Moon.
my favorite full moon of the year next to the strawberry moon in the summer. And the Harvest Moon is the full moon that's closest to the fall equinox. And it was the full moon that would help the farmers, probably still does. They were harvesting for the fall and winter, and they would use the light of the moon, hence the Harvest Moon, to help them with their harvesting. And it was big and beautiful and orange, and so many beautiful pictures came out. And I might be just a little biased, but on this one, I don't think I am, because the pictures, I like the one with the bird in front of the moon. Ah, there it is. Okay, go ahead and screen share.
I am screen sharing. So
No, here we go. Okay, I'll turn.
what is it? What?
I keep talking and keep switching.
Oh, okay. All right. So this is a picture of the Harvest Moon rising just around maybe 7:15 on Friday night, and I took it from Conimicut Point in Warwick, Rhode Island, and it shows the Conimicut Point light, which dates back to the late 1800s, and it, this is basically a guardian light for the end of it's a long sandbar, and then on the eastern side is the channel where the ships can come up and go into Providence Harbor. But it was the perfect spot, I thought, to catch the moonrise on Friday night. And I managed to get it with the light actually flashing. and you can see some seagulls down there. And so that was this shot, and I was very happy about that. And I will go find the other one that you said that you liked. Come on, go away.
I mean, seriously,
Okay.
how ridiculous. I looked at the retweets. I think you were up to like 500.
Yeah, that picture is incredible.
And then this was the
beautiful.
this was the other one. Gosh, my screen share thing keeps going away. Okay, there's that screen share. So then this was one of the other shots that I was able to get from just a little bit of a different perspective and a little earlier as the moon was rising. And I, it was one of those, oh look, there's a boat going by. Oh boy, and there's a seagull there too. That all works out really well. So
right?
that was I was happy about that shot there. So there's our harvest moon from Warwick, Rhode Island.
That was just awesome. My cell phone pictures don't even compare. I did take one picture. I sent it to you, Jason, of me holding the moon.
Oh yeah, you holding the moon up. Like,
that was my awesome.
It was a cool little cool picture. Yeah, I know. My better picture.
Your cell phone picture came out really well.
Yeah, my better picture of the moon. I mean, it wasn't necessarily the harvest moon because it was the day before, but the better picture I got was that the one I showed you with all the color and all that the day before the harvest moon came out. But the one that I took day of, the one that I took day of was, let me find it here. Not great, but for a cell phone picture, it's,
it's a cell phone picture.
I'm surprised at the detail in the moon. Usually it washes right out.
Yeah, I mean, I got it really, I basically turned the brightness as far down as I could and tried to be as still as I could.
What cell phone?
That came out an iPhone 5.
Wow. I'm using an iPhone 5. This does not get that.
Yeah, I mean,
it never gets that. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, it was beautiful to watch. Definitely. I mean, if we're not even talking about photos, it was definitely, I enjoyed sitting out, and we had a clear night, fortunately. Yeah.
I have a Note 7. I'm really happy it didn't explode while we were on camera. That's my. If you follow me on Twitter, you know my debacle and my pain with this whole recall. But I'll be getting a new one soon. I think on Wednesday.
Yeah, we don't want to have to be sending out the incident management team from the 45th Space Wing over to your location.
We don't want to hear about any like the ongoing Note 7 saga.
I'm so tired of talking about it. My boss, oh my God. My boss, Cadron, I sent him the link. I don't know if he's watching, but hi, Cadron Alexandra, if you guys are watching. He calls me Rochelle Recall now because my car was recalled, my phone's recalled. There's just
there's a country music song all about that somewhere.
Yeah. So
it's just it's okay. I'm sorry. I took the thunder away.
One more thing. I found a picture of that. I found a picture of that OSIRIS-Rex patch that I was talking about from the Air Force, and this is it.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So they do the the 5 with the stars and then the Jurassic Park font and all that. So yeah, I thought it's a unique way to commemorate watching the mission from close to the Air Force Station gates.
That's
so
cool.
Since I figured the NASA social people got more of a NASA experience, and I kind of got a bit of an Air Force experience from being so close to the Air Force gates and going to the History Center and all that stuff. So it seemed like the right patch to get.
Did you touch the fence? Please tell me you touched the fence.
I did not. Well, actually, the fence is really the Air Force gate fence is really close to this History Center, but I did not go up and
poke it.
Give the security forces guy there reason to ask me to step away. No.
What if I stuck my finger just through? I didn't actually touch the fence. What if I just stick my finger through it?
Well, then nothing would happen. But as
Nothing
soon
would
as you
happen.
touch
I'm
the
not just
fence,
touching it.
as
I'm
soon
not
as you touch
touching
the
it.
fence, yeah.
All right. I just wanted to make sure to get that clear. Just kidding. I will never touch the fence.
Yeah, please don't.
I hope that doesn't get me disqualified from.
Look, like the NASA Protective Services people are gonna know what you look like by the time you go to your next social.
God, that crazy redhead.
Uh.
She's not allowed anymore. Okay, I think that we've covered all of our topics, and we went an hour and a half, which is not too bad, not too much. I think our next show is going to be a gaming show. I know James Ridgers is really excited about coming on and talking about Legion. I got to go to, I'm not going to give away too much because I want to talk about it on the show, but I got to go to the dev signing, which was really an amazing night. So I think that might be the next show,
And not geeky at all.
and not geeky in the least. And maybe
No.
Jason will be on to talk about his trip to the museum,
Museum?
the gaming museum. Hello with the pinballs.
Oh, you know, it actually was less of a museum than just an actively working
big-
arcade. It was just an arcade that from out of time. Yeah.
Okay, Ozzy wants to make an appearance, so we're gonna. Oh. Hi. Say
Hi, Ozzy.
Hi. Say hi. Say hi to everyone. Hi. By the way, his collar I ordered
That's
from online from Kennedy Space Center. His little NASA collar.
Awesome.
So-
That's very
So-
cool.
Yeah. So you can get some pretty cool stuff, huh, Bubby? Huh. Yes. He's not happy that I'm on right now. But he had to make an appearance, so. All right. I think that we're good. So thank you again for everybody who stayed. It seemed like a lot of you stayed on for quite a while, and we really appreciate you, because without you viewers, we'd be talking to ourselves, which probably
Which
is-
happens sometimes anyway, so
which is just
yeah.
really does happen sometimes, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does.
So to our viewers, we appreciate you. Thank you very much for joining in. Thank you to Alec, Carolina, and Jason, as always, because without you, I wouldn't have a show or co-host. I'd be talking to myself. And as always, go out, look up, and discover. Have a good one, guys. Bye. Oh, and don't touch the fence. Bye.